Is Beast of the East podcast on the Believe Podcast Network, also coming at you from the Y'all's Conference Network as well. We are pulling one of those things we like to call a double team. So, joining me to execute tonight's show is my man Vinny Hardy, and Israel will be joining us later. What's up, Vinny?
Man, I'm good, Corey. Man, how you doing this evening?
I can't complain. Just hanging in there. Saturday was a rough go for us dog fans, but we're still in playoffs, so I guess I can't complain too much. We got to get ready for Michigan now, so we're going to dive into that a little bit too, Vinny. But I want to let you know that this is not your typical y'all's conference network setup on screen. Steve is right now. He's probably taking pictures with Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, Donald, probably riding Space Mountain, all of the good stuff that you do at Disney World on his family vacation. So um, that's exciting for him. Um, all of our yeah, right. What's your favorite deal at Disney World? Have you been in a while?
Oh, no, not in a while. So yeah, I was a kid. Hadn't taken my kids yet. Um, so I don't know. Would it be the? I don't know if it'd be Epcot. It'd be something new that I hadn't even checked out yet. Uh, I'd have to survey the scene. I remember, seeing Chippendale and Goofy and the Small World stuff when my parents took me. That whole thing. So yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
know it's changed a lot since then.
absolutely. Um, so Stacy Blackwood comes in. Corey, I apologize in advance. Roll Tide. Yep. So as you can see, the chat is rocking and rolling. It looks kind of cool right here, man. Um,
It does, and this being a Beast of the East podcast, I gotta kind of feel y'all's pain since we're the East Division, and I thought this was y'all's time. I was like, man, if Georgia's gonna get them, this is it. Auburn, the Iron Bowl, Alabama limped into the SEC championship game, all vulnerable, and this I was
uh,
like, Georgia, y'all get pissed off, y'all give up a first down, so this is the
I
time.
know.
And
It is the time. It was primed and ready to go. But before we get into that, we are presented by BetOnline.ag. We're back and better than ever. A new web interface for the rest of the NBA season and more props, odds, and lines than ever before. Don't forget about the NFL and these bowl games coming up if you're going to do a bowl pool. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all basketball and football action this season. So head to the new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE50 to receive your bonus from basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Do not wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet all of your favorite sports. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. But yeah, um, going into that game, we previewed it ad nauseum on all of our shows. Cody, the East always will be dominated by the West. Not long, not for long. Hopefully, maybe not. I don't know. But coming into this game, we had Jake and Stacy on the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast to talk about this stuff. And we also talked on this show, and Israel and I talked on the Believe in Georgia Dogs, and we also talked on with Jake on SEC After Dark. So we talked about how we thought this defensive line would be taken care of. We thought the battle in the trenches was going to be won by Georgia on both sides of the ball, and that didn't happen. One of the MVPs of this game was that much maligned offensive line for Alabama. They
yeah,
gave Bryce Young so much time for him to do what they do, and he did it. I mean, we said, and Stacy, you can jump in on the chat and back me up on this, but we said if Israel and I both said that if we allow one of those slants to go to the house early, that this game we were going to be in trouble. What happened? First touchdown of the game, Jamison Williams takes a slant, about 65 to the house. Not a good look. Not a good look there, but again, Vinny, we played timid at the end of the day. I think the game plan was try not to lose and be close in the fourth quarter, and you can't do that with Alabama. You just can't. You can't be conservative on either side of the ball. They were conservative on defense, playing back, making sure they didn't get beat deep instead of just playing in the receiver's face, making him work to get off the line of scrimmage, making Bryce Young work to move in the pocket and try to get his eyes down to the rush. We did none of that. And when we finally did, we were down by 21 points, and it was a little too late. But, I don't know. I can't play conservative against those guys. I thought Georgia did a lot of good things, but at the end of the day, played conservative, gave up, way too many touchdowns, gave up, didn't take care of the ball in the second half with 2 interceptions and a turnover on downs. You get down in the red zone, and you got to come away with some points there. So I don't know.
Yeah, that was it. He was running for his life. He was under a lot more pressure against Auburn the week before. He's pointing guys, hey, just keep running to the corner on that one touchdown.
I'm gonna put you in right there.
He's got time to point. On a running play, hey, block this dude for me. He's in the pocket. Hey, no, just keep on going, and I'll hit you in stride. And so it was. We saw a lot of things. We hadn't seen this from Georgia all year with this. But Alabama's offense was explosive. Mechie goes down, and it didn't matter. Robinson was hurt, and it still,
they couldn't run the ball. Alabama could not run the ball. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Bryce Young was just chopping them up.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Sold Graphic 70. If you would, DM at YCN_SEC. If you want to get some partnership stuff done, do that for us. We appreciate you. Appreciate you jumping on board. But, Frank Nisi, the D-line, got tired. Yes. The tempo kind of got to him, but again, we didn't help them. Like against Tennessee, we had the same tempo problem, and it didn't seem to affect us. I mean, it affected us for one drive, and it didn't seem to affect us after that. Why? Because we were getting off the field. We were pressuring and jamming their receivers. I'm not saying anyone on Tennessee's roster is even close to Mechie and Jamison Williams, but I'll take Velus Jones, and I can never remember the other guy's name, number 4, whatever his name is. I can never remember it, but he absolutely had a nice he had a nice day, and he's a really good receiver. I mean, but those guys, they were jammed all night long. We were in the face, all that stuff. But it just, I don't know. I didn't like the offensive game plan either.
And with Israel said it last week, Stetson, maybe it was on Believe in Dogs when you guys had Stacy and Jake on. That's when we had those.
And we talked about elite quarterback play.
And couple reads. Stetson, what are you doing? And there was some of that, just wasn't seeing the field properly or the rush or difference in. It was something. It just, he wasn't this normal steady self. He was off kilter all night as well.
Absolutely. Stacy, we talked about elite quarterback play, and there was a giant chasm of difference. And to get into the quarterback debate, we'll get into that here in just a second, Vinny. But going back over to the chat, talking about also 56 at center, talking about him. He was crucial in picking up stunts from this Georgia defense, and dude might have been low key the MVP of the game right there for Alabama. But also. Cody is talking about Steven's tweets about Matt Corral. That is a best of the West topic, but that's just his opinion, man. Throwing while trying to catch up is different than throwing with a lead. Throwing is throwing, man. But you have to treat it that way, Stacy. That's an interesting comment because elite quarterbacks just treat it as the same. Throwing is throwing. We're going to get. I'm going to hang in there. It's all about discipline. And that's all that is. It's discipline. Kirby got up and then his butthole got about that tight. That tight. And it showed. Like he just went into let's play it safe mode. And then all of a sudden, Stetson Bennett doesn't have the discipline to hang in there with a lot of his throws and starts trying to throw to win the game on every throw. And Vinny, it's just not going to happen for you.
You're up 10-0 and you kick it into safe mode on 10-0. That was enough cushion in his mind, in Kirby's mind, I'm talking about, to think, okay, yeah, let's just play not to lose now at 10-0.
Let's just hang on. I mean, he had that much faith in his defense. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
I guarantee you. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, and going back to the quarterback situation, like for Georgia, at what point do you go? At what point do you go with do you go away from Stetson Bennett and he outcoaches himself? Yes, in these big games, absolutely he does. At what point do you go from Stetson to JT? At what point do you just say, you know what, this isn't working, Stetson? You got us here, but it just isn't working. We're going to go to JT because the game plan, if you really watch, right, and this is none of this is on Stetson. Stetson played as good as Stetson's going to play, right? He maximized his ability. I mean, 340 with 3 touchdowns. He maximized his ability, but it showed late in the second quarter, early in the third, when things got a little tighter and pressure kind of built a little bit, he started making panic throws, panic audible checks, things like that. And the game plan, I thought, for the quarterback position was centered around somebody with a skill set of JT Daniels. You know, hang in there, get the ball out quick, distribute the rock. That's not Stetson's game, right? Stetson is a runner. Stetson is an athlete. Stetson is Baker Mayfield without a strong arm. And that's his style. And they did not play to that. And that's what, yeah. That frustrated me because it's like, okay, you got this guy who can do some things with his legs. Why not? Why aren't we doing those things?
And you talking about JT do things with his legs?
No, Stetson.
Or Stetson, right? Okay.
Yeah, Stetson.
So JT is proof that you can lose your job to injury, basically.
Apparently he's got Wally pipped. Yes.
Yeah.
And for those of you that don't know that reference, Wally Pipp is a famous first baseman of the New York Yankees from like the 1920s. Got injured. Lou Gehrig filled in and started like 2,000 something straight games.
And I think maybe I'm believing Kentucky. I was asking you in Israel, or when I had you, or I was on your show, one or the other. It was the quarterback question, I think, and you coming into the season, was it JT's team? It was going to be right.
It was JT's team. Yeah. And then what happened was he gets hurt. He gets a lat strain. I think he gutted out the Clemson game. I think he was hurt. I think he heard it in camp. And he comes out of the Clemson game and he's injured. And Stetson starts the UAB game, goes 5 for his first 5 with 5 touchdowns. I mean, something insane. And then just starts building all this momentum. And all of a sudden is just playing out of his mind.
Mm-hmm.
And here you go. Now, Kirby again, out coaching himself, decides to stick with the hot hand in Stetson Bennett. When that hot hand runs out, he didn't make the change. And maybe, I don't know, maybe game flow dictated that, okay, we're getting our ass handed to us. We're mentally not in this game anymore. Let's just ride it out. Hope we get in the playoff, and let's play for the rematch.
Yeah. You're gonna have your hands full with Michigan, but you still should I still think Georgia will get past
we
them.
should
Right.
get past Michigan. I think
Mhm.
depth wise, Georgia should get past Michigan, but Michigan is red hot right now. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to count those chickens. But we weren't, and Stacy, we weren't. I mean, I'm sure their folks were, but I was never doubting Nick Saban. I just thought this team had enough in the tank to actually finally get past him. It was going to be an all out war no matter what. But you know,
They've been
it's
going toe to toe for years. I
yeah.
mean, had them on the ropes several times. Can't finish, can't close it out, and that whole Georgia narrative. That's why the Braves, which you and I are both Braves fans, that's why they were
Yep.
all about kill the narrative, because of the whole Georgia thing, the whole Braves
Mhm.
thing, the whole Hawks thing, the whole everything down there.
The Georgia
And
sports curse.
yeah, Tua comes in and snatches one away. A couple of close games in the SEC championship game before.
Uh-huh.
I can't say I was doubting Saban,
I was never doubting Saban, but I was doubting this team a little bit. That this is not the strongest Bama team they've had in the last 10 years.
right, and I think even Stacey would have to say that.
Yeah.
They're 11-1. This is, by Bama standards, a flawed Alabama squad. With the struggle at Florida, and sometimes they couldn't run the ball like they normally do. The
They
struggles they
couldn't
had
put
offensively.
teams that they would have put away by halftime last year, they were struggle winning against this year. And that's
Yeah,
where I think the doubt came into play. But Saban somehow, like, had there been any other coach going through those games, like the LSU game, the Arkansas game,
right. Mm-hmm.
in particular, I think those games probably would have been losses if they didn't have Nick Saban and everything else was the same.
Yeah,
I
they
think
had a
they
little
lose 3
bit.
or 4.
A few
It's
weren't as deep as they were typically are. Still plenty of depth, but not traditional Alabama deep.
not
As teams in
not
the past.
not any of the Lane Kiffin or Sark teams. Like this team is
Yeah,
like last year's Alabama team would beat this year's Alabama team by 50
yeah,
easily.
and that's why,
Easily.
I picked. I mean, Saturday I think I picked Georgia 26-20. And I think, but Georgia's going to get them. I mean, if that's doubting Saban, then guilty as charged. But I thought
It's
I thought
not.
it was kind of right. I thought it was kind of right pickings. It was there for the
Yeah.
taking for
Yeah.
Georgia.
You can have all the respect in the world for Saban and then think he's going to lose a game. I mean, it's not doubting Saban if you pick Georgia to win. If your reasoning is doubting Saban, then there you go. But if your reasonings are some some other things, it's not necessarily doubting Nick Saban. I get that, but
and they were picked as
and I
favorites
think
90-some games in a row until
93 games.
Saturday. So a lot of people were, quote, doubting Saban.
Yeah, and Brock Bowers is, for him not to be a Mackey Award finalist. He's tied for the most touchdowns all time at Georgia as a receiver.
Oh my God, that dude!
He tied Terrence Edwards on Saturday at 11.
That dude,
11 touchdowns. Meanwhile, Wiedemeyer has 4.
I tweeted during
and
the
half
game.
the yards.
I tweeted during the game. Bowers doing Bowers things like he's done all season, and he was doing that against us. The ball, the touchdown, when it was literally at his head. He hadn't even turned around yet, and
he just turns around and snags it.
Yeah. And say, "Oh my God!" And
it was unreal.
I was, my God, a freshman. We held the whole Larry Munson thing about Bowers a few weeks ago. My God, a freshman, because
my God, a freshman. Yeah.
That's what he does, man. Because he is a beast for real.
Yeah, absolutely. So on the whole Braves tip, I'm hoping this SEC championship was akin to Game 5 of the World Series, where Braves get up early and then fall apart, and then Game 6. We're going to have that Jorge Soler moment where we hit it out of the stadium. And that's going to be like a crucial pick 6 to go up 21 on Bama in the national championship. Like I'm hoping this is the case.
Yeah.
I didn't want to close it out. I'm saying I'm hoping. I'll take a 1-point win. I don't care how we get it. I'll take a win. I'll take any win. I don't care how we get it. I'll take
I
a
want
win.
to close it
If we
out. I
can
want
get
to
it.
close it out on the road,
I want
like
to.
the Braves did.
Yeah, I want to close. I want to grab this monkey and sling him off our back for the time being. Like I want to do what Alabama did to us in 17, not win the conference, but come back and win the national championship. I want to do that to them.
Yo.
And maybe we'll get our chance, but we got to get past Georgia's got to get past Michigan first. It's going to, like Stacy said, it's going to be an old slobber knocker. So jump in on the chat. So, yeah, go ahead.
That's what they did against Ohio State. He finally got his quote unquote over that hump. Been struggling and losing to them forever, and he finally got that off his back. And that's what you guys are trying to do against Alabama. Yeah. Same thing Harbaugh's up there trying to do against the Buckeyes.
They've been getting smoked too. Just not, What's up, John? Jump in on the chat. Stacy was. It seemed like Stacy for a minute there was the only one active. So, but yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun playoff. I think they got it right. Bama, Cincy. That's going to be a fun one. I know, Stacy, you and Jake are going to talk that one ad nauseum, so I won't go into that. Desmond Ridder, just watched last year's Peach Bowl. Dude is legit. Like, this Cincinnati team is legit. There's a reason why Luke Fickell is still there. Maybe part of that's he's waiting for the Ohio State job, but at least I'm going to tell myself that he's there because Cincinnati's nasty and they're about to go into the Big 12.
Ryan Day's a young dude, though. Is he going to wait that out?
Ryan Day might be the next head coach for the Chicago Bears.
Somebody's about to be for sure.
There's some buzz around that.
Wow.
Yeah. Before we get into these bowl games, Vinny, a couple coaching updates to be said. A couple of notable ones. I'm not going to go through all of them, but Mario Cristobal heading to Miami, leaving Oregon, and Brent Venables is the new head coach at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
What do you think there?
We were just talking, was it last week? Maybe Venables just doesn't want to be a head coach. Maybe he just wants to be a DC. Maybe he doesn't want all the other stuff. And he finally decides.
Maybe he was just waiting for Oklahoma. That might have been the key.
Make that move.
Yeah.
Cristobal, I mean, he's I think he'll do fine in Miami.
Miami's so broken. I don't know.
Got the whole Diaz stuff out of there. Got all that, whatever was going on with that situation. They get a new AD as well down there. They cleaning. They're bringing everything.
Dan Radakovich. Yeah, they cleaned house. I don't think they fired Manny Diaz yet.
Still not.
I don't think they fired him yet. I think they just hired Cristobal. And I don't think they fired Manny Diaz yet. Haven't seen that. Frank, to answer your question, no, they weren't. I think they had about 7 opt-outs and about 4 or 5 key injuries. So they were definitely not at full strength. But
did Georgia want to be there?
Legit. Georgia did not want to be there.
I didn't think so.
They did not want to be there. They were not at full strength, not even close.
To have the bowl season, some teams want to be there, some don't.
They had a bunch of COVID cases, injuries, opt-outs, all kind of. Yeah, it was not good. JT Daniels threw for like 400 yards in that game too, if I remember correctly. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he is pretty good. But yeah, going back to the coaches, Cristobal, I don't know if unless he was encouraged to leave Oregon, because he's been kind of on a skid with them. Why would you leave Oregon? You have a blank check from Phil Knight.
You got Whittingham twice, so maybe that's why you leave Oregon. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. You got owned by Utah.
Got Kyle Whittingham. I mean,
twice.
It wasn't no fluke. He went out and did it again to him.
They got their ass handed to him twice. Twice.
Mm-hmm.
Once on the road, once on a neutral site.
Step on over to this ACC because Clemson isn't Clemson anymore, and nobody's anybody in the ACC. So
yeah.
it can be. That's the easiest path of all. So let me just go on back over here to Coral Gables and build that
It
thing back up, or try to.
it it is home for him. He did go to college there, so I'll give him that. I wonder who he's going to hire around him. That's going to be interesting. And I think when you look at the Oregon job now, who fills that?
That's attractive for sure. I don't. You get a West Coast guy, or do you just
Do you get Chip Kelly back?
that would
Do you
that
welcome
would
him
make
back?
that'd be some fun Pac-12 drama. That would be. I'd like to see that. That'd be fun.
That would be
That
fun.
make you stay up for those late games out there when conference play started, and see
Pac-12
how
after dark, yeah.
butt hurt the Bruins are watching him go back to Eugene. That'd be some spicy stuff.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, that would be pretty crazy. Yeah, I think Joe Moorhead already left. He became
Yep.
Akron's head coach. So I mean,
Hmm.
you're losing staff members. You just got boat raced.
Yep.
So I guess not a bad move, but um,
I mean,
let's
they had
see.
their, the Pac. Oregon had the chance, man, and they never could. The Pac-10 kept stubbing their toe. Nobody making the playoff out there. Uh, if Riley does what you think he does, they're going to be rolling soon. He's been recruiting California anyway in Norman.
Mhm.
Now he's back in LA. So if he gets them cranking, um, you know, maybe I don't know. Maybe Chip Kelly does get something going, and that maybe they have something there. I don't know. But the ACC not having anybody, I think that, and it's home.
Yeah, and I think Tony Elliott is well, never mind. I was going to say senior Cowboy senior defensive assistant George Edwards now has emerged as the candidate to replace David Cutcliffe at Duke. So I
Mm.
think Tony Elliott is staying at Clemson, so that's good for them. There's some things that are happening. There's some things that are happening, but going back to Brent Venables, I think he's going to bring. I think he's going to bring one thing, and that's going to be toughness to the Oklahoma team. I think it's going to be they're going to be a lot more physical. No more. Am I going to be able to call them soft? I'm not
Right.
going to be able to do that anymore. So there you go. And
And that
also, this
move,
is go ahead.
my fault. I'm my bad, man. That
Oh, you're good.
move is, trying to be long term, I guess, for Oklahoma, knowing they're coming over here to the SEC, bring in a defensive guy. He's got a reputation for defense, toughness. Saw what he did with Clemson. You can't bring that Pac-12 defense into this meat grinder, and so I think that hire was. I mean, they need to make a good hire anyway, but they're looking ahead for. We gotta bring some defense and get a guy in here who knows defense. Uh, Clemson, they were in the ACC, but when they were rolling, they could have passed as an SEC team. You could see them,
Mhm.
coming into the league and doing well. We saw them win a couple of national championships. So that was for a couple of years from now, just as much it is for the present. But it was long term for. We got to have some defense. We got to have some backbone when we do make this move.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is not going to make Ole Miss fans very happy, but Jeff Lebby is being targeted to be the new offensive coordinator at Oklahoma under Brent Venables. So hang on to your hats, guys. Is the carousel getting out of control now? No, it's always like this. Every year, there's a lot of movement. I mean, everything that we thought was going to happen has happened. Um, and I think you see that Pac-12 players just aren't tough, and they're not deep. They're tough. They're just those Pac-12 teams just aren't as deep because a lot of those California and West Coast kids are going to the SEC and Big 12. They're getting out of the West Coast. A lot of kids are leaving California, and I think a lot of that's due to California politics. But this is not a political show, so I'm not going to dive into that. Um, but Stacy also asked Vinny, who do you think has made the best hire to this date? Now, there's
Mm.
still some jobs out there to be had, but at this point, who's made the best hire? You think who do you think will do the best?
Mm. Billy Napier's a good hire. Venable's a good hire. I mean, Riley's a good hire, even though we think he was ducking the SEC. He can say he wasn't, but Billy Napier low key might be uh maybe the leader in the clubhouse. Might be.
Yeah, I think it's Billy Napier, and if it's not, it's certainly not Brian Kelly and his fake Southern accent. I think it's Mark family. I think it's Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame. I love that hire. I love that they were quick with it, and he's already there, so he can just go ahead and keep it rolling. I
wondered
that.
if they would do it. I didn't know if they would, but they did.
I didn't think they would, but I'm glad they did. I think that's a great hire. And if you hate Notre Dame, then of course that's a terrible hire. But because he's going to win, I think he's the glue, man.
And most of the dudes stayed with him. Well, now Kelly's got to revamp his staff more so than he thought. In addition to acclimating to Baton Rouge, which he's not the first dude to be from out of the area to go to a place. I mean, heck, I'm a Kentucky fan. Rick Pitino came from New York City. He couldn't understand what we were saying. We couldn't understand him. But he won. He didn't get to Lexington and try to talk Southern as soon as he got off the plane. So
he's not. He's also not a phony. I mean, what you see with Pitino is what you get, man. He puts all his cards out on the table.
Nick Saban's from West Virginia. Les Miles is from Ohio. But they didn't go down there trying to do that. Les Miles was calling Arkansas Arkansas. He was eating grass. He was doing, but
those guys aren't phony.
Right. Yeah. To channel your to channel your Google them kids, this because I'm older than probably all our listeners. Google Justin Wilson, the Cajun chef, used to do those Ruffles commercials. I guarantee he channeled Justin Wilson. He channeled Jerry Clower and Bobby Bowden the minute he hit Louisiana. Google all of them because I'm older than everybody. So, but y'all will know what I'm talking about if you Google those.
I guarantee you.
There's no reason for that, man. But
nah.
So I mean, and if I'm an LSU fan, I'm like, is he? I saw a dude, Preston guy for Tiger Bait.
Yeah.
Retweeted, I think it was a Baton Rouge news person who was saying, hey, he's trying to relate to us. Let him do that and just move on. Basically kind of defending Brian Kelly's deal the other night. And he knows good and well if say Brian Kelly takes the Florida job and does that same speech in the old Connell Center at a Gators basketball game, the LSU people would have been clowning him just like us. He's just trying to defend it because he's in Baton Rouge
covering the team and he needs a scoop.
Exactly.
That's why.
If he'd have been anywhere else, they'd have been like, they'd have been clowning him just like we are. Get out of here, man.
And John, maybe he did get caught between those two words, but that whole thing he was trying to do Southern. Like if you listen to it, he's trying to be Southern. Like that's not his voice.
Tigers win all my games, my family. It was the whole thing.
My family. I do declare.
Yeah.
We're going to do some things here with them Tigers.
Yeah.
I'm Brian Kelly. Come support the team.
I'm from Boston. Let me have some sweet tea.
I'm from New York. Let me get some of that. Let me get one of them Arnold Palmers. Like that. I mean, his whole thing was that way. I mean, you can't tell me it wasn't. I mean,
I'm dying for a beignet about time. Time for another beignet. Let me have me one of them beignets. Come on. Out of here.
Well, John, I would rather, John, to counter that point, I would rather him be a super Yankee and be himself.
Right.
I mean, there's a difference between toning. There's a difference between toning it down and trying to be something just to relate. Like you can relate. You can say, hey, I want to try some of these things down here. I want to get involved in the culture, but that doesn't mean you have. He is from South Boston. That's right. Where did I read he was from New York? Where did I get he was from New York?
He's from Massachusetts. Yeah,
he's definitely from South Boston. Yeah. But there's a difference between like like I felt like that was almost insulting what he did.
Yeah.
There's a difference between like, hey, I'm new to Louisiana. I want to try, what it has to offer. I want to try a beignet. I want to try some gumbo. I want to get immersed in the culture.
Yep.
I want to talk to some people. I want to experience some things.
Mm-hmm.
But don't go give some phony ass speech at a basketball game. That's not trying to get yourself involved in the culture. Like that's not the time to do that. The time to do that is getting people to, and not even making any publicity about it. Just getting out there in the community and meeting people, and just immersing yourself in the Baton Rouge community. And that stuff will naturally play along. And that's probably stuff that he's doing. And he'll be fine. It's just something that we can all poke fun at.
Yes. I'm from southeastern Kentucky, right where Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia all come together, right in the mountains, right in the coal mines. My mom would tell you if she was on here right now, I would go to, friends' house, the people I knew that had a thicker southeastern Kentucky accent than I had, and, stay the night at their house for the weekend or whatever. I come back and would be talking more country than I normally do. Mom's like, man, why are you talking like him for? You sound like him, because it would just rub off. But I'm already from there, and it's not
That's not
like
much
I
of a
just
stretch for you.
yeah, it's not like you just drop me into Kentucky from
We all do
California.
that.
Yeah,
Like like
but I
if
would
Kelly went back to South Boston, he would get right back into that.
yeah, but I've been to Boston, been to Red Sox games, ate clam chowder. I didn't go up there saying, "Oh, the Sox parked the car in the yard by the harbor." They were still making fun of my Kentucky accent. I didn't get off the plane at the airport and start trying to talk chowder. I didn't do that.
Give
So
me
that's
some
but Kelly
chowder.
Kelly did. That's what Kelly did. He got off the plane and tried to switch it up. I went
Yeah.
up there and they were still, me and my dad went to the Red Sox games and were took the subway, missed our stop, came out and we're like, we're not where we're supposed to be. Ask an officer where such and such was, and we needed, he told us how to get there and all that. But he asked me to say it again. He said, "Can you say that again?" So I asked for what it is again. He said, "Man, I heard you the first time. I just want to hear your accent," because I was still talking like I talk. I wasn't up there trying to put on some kind of fake Boston accent. But Brian
Yeah.
Kelly thought that's what he needed to do.
Yeah, and that's not the right move. And will he be a good hire from a football perspective? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but there's a reason why nobody came with him from Notre Dame. That's the concerning part.
Mm-hmm. You're
And
right.
it ain't because they all love Marcus Freeman that much. I mean, Marcus Freeman's great, but there's a reason. There's a reason. I don't know what that reason is, but that's what, if I'm an LSU fan, that's what kind of scares me a little bit. But I think from a football acumen standpoint, yes, he's a really good hire, and I think he'll do fine. He'll do well. He's in a tough division. So,
Exactly.
but moving on from the coaching search stuff, I'll tell you who didn't do a good job. I didn't like TCU hiring Sonny Dykes and not really considering anybody else. I didn't particularly care for that.
Yeah.
Not to go all Big 12 after dark here, or big beast of the Big 12, but yeah.
I thought they could have. Patterson built them up enough to where they could have been more attractive to somebody else. And when I saw that, I'm like,
Yeah.
it didn't even move the needle. It didn't make me feel any kind of way. Oh, okay, Sonny Dyke. All right, okay, whatever. That's
Yeah.
basically my reaction to it. And
Yeah, that would have been a great hire, John. And John, on your point about the Notre, I'm talking about coaches, not players. Coaches, not players. I understand players not wanting to go or wanting to play for Freeman. I'm talking about coaches. So yeah,
yeah.
I think Coach Prime would have been a great hire. I think they just should have carried the process out a little more, honestly. And if they came back to Sonny Dykes, fine, so be it. But I think they should have. I think they should have did their due diligence, which I'm not sure. I'm not so sure they did. I think they just kind of rushed to it and said, "Oh, we'll get this guy because he's doing really well." And if you really want to know our take on that, there's a Coaching Carousel episode already available on Apple Podcasts from when I was on I'm on Illegal Motion College Football Podcast as well. I'm everywhere, guys, in case you hadn't noticed that. But
You like Steve Harvey, man. You everywhere, Corey.
I got to do something, man. I got to build this brand. Something's got to pop for me, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Speaking of something, we got a new sponsor on this show. It's called Lightbox Jewelry. So say goodbye to dull gifts. Lightbox lab-grown diamonds are the brightest gift of the year. Using cutting-edge technology and innovative techniques, they've cracked the science of sparkle, creating the highest quality lab-grown diamonds you can find at a light price. That is $800 per carat. They have the same chemical makeup of natural diamonds, but they're just grown in a lab. Because of their process, they can create stones in bluish pink and beautiful blue, as well as classic white. Lightbox lab-grown diamonds are the gift they'll never want to take off. Priced so they won't have to. They really do make any outfit sparkle. So visit lightboxjewelry.com to add sparkle to your holiday shopping. That's lightboxjewelry.com. Lightbox diamonds. That's never a dull moment. So guys, if you're still looking for that last minute deal, visit Lightbox. All right. Visit Lightrock. Yes, Lanning or Levy would have been better hire than Sonny Dykes. But we're moving on from the coaching carousel. We got to talk some bowl games, guys. We could go on and on and on and on about the coaching carousel, and we're gonna have more to react to also when Oregon and then make hires and stuff like that. So, but yes, Lanning, Levy, anybody. I think Sonny Dykes just falls apart in the last month of the season. He's just okay.
Yeah.
His ceiling is SMU.
Yeah.
That's his ceiling.
And that's what they settled for. That's what they jumped right into. That's what they pounced on.
They pounced on it like
SMU.
They pounced on it like faster than USC pounced on Riley. So
yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, we bowl games, and I don't think Lightbox Jewelry is sponsoring a bowl. They should. They're better than some of these other ones. But we talked about the playoff. Alabama versus Cincy, Michigan versus Georgia. We'll get more in depth on those previews the closer we get to them. The New Year's Six bowl games. You got the Peach Bowl matching Michigan State versus Pittsburgh, the ACC champion Pittsburgh Panthers. January 1st, the Fiesta Bowl, Notre Dame versus Oklahoma State. That ought to be a fun one. The Rose Bowl is Ohio State versus Utah. I love that matchup. And the Sugar matches Baylor with Ole Miss. So what's your favorite matchup out of those? Or do you like, or are you going to say B, all of the above?
I like all of them. Is
rank them.
The Baylor Ole Miss is good. I mean, Aranda trying to go against Lane is going to be fun. You talk about teams that don't want to be there, do want to be there, and as far as bowl games are concerned. Notre Dame is going to be they're going to ball out for Freeman. You know, when they saw him get introduced as the coach, they went nuts. They were ecstatic. And so it's not going to be, you know, we missed the playoff and whatever. This is going to be his first time coaching them. You know, this little bit of bowl practice with them, and then they go out there and play. They're going to play for him and you know, come out with the hair on fire, as the old cliche goes. You're going to see them really probably go out there and ball out for Freeman. Like you said, you love to hire. Everybody loves him, or he's a whole lot more likable than the last guy. So, and that does mean something.
No offense, John. No offense. Yes, it does. I really like that matchup. Why is nobody giving Dave Aranda a blank check? Maybe Dave Aranda just said he's good at Baylor.
And then you got Joe Brady getting fired. I mean, Ed Orgeron might still be here. Look, if they could have held on those two guys, but you know, Brady's out of a job. Didn't even make it through, you know, 3/4 of the NFL season. You know, he didn't have McCaffrey and all that stuff, but crazy. He was a hot shot guy. Boom.
He made it through 1.5 seasons.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe Todd Modkin gets a job in the NFL, and maybe Georgia hires Joe Brady. That'd be cool.
Grass ain't always greener. You just never know, and you know you're in a good spot where you are, but you
have to take that shot at the NFL. You have to.
I guess so.
Like you got to see what you got. I mean, if it doesn't work out, he can get a job at anywhere in college.
Oh yeah, yeah. He'll
Yeah.
be he'll be high on everybody's list.
Mm-hmm. But I love Kyle Whittingham versus Ryan Day. I love this matchup. Another
Mm-hmm.
explosive offense versus Utah, extremely physical Pac-12 team, which in
Mm-hmm.
some people's minds is an oxymoron. But we look at some of these other bowls. K-State versus LSU. Sorry, John, but K-State's going to wipe the floor with you. I think LSU's just getting the extra bowl practices, and that's going to be about the only thing this bowl game's good for. I don't think LSU's even going to want to be there. This one just smells like a K-State beatdown because K-State hasn't been relevant in quite some time. They finally have made a bowl, so they're gonna play. They're gonna go all out. Vinny, the Citrus Bowl, Iowa, Kentucky. I think Kentucky's gonna wipe the floor with Iowa.
As long as they
What do you
hang on to
think?
the ball, as long as we can, because turnovers have been a problem all year for Kentucky. Chris Rodriguez with fumble issues. Levis has thrown a few picks. More, it's his first year in offense. You kind of see that, but some passes behind guys, off guys' hands.
Mm-hmm.
To be 9-3 and be minus 15 in the turnover margin, whatever Kentucky is crazy.
It's
To
ridiculous.
overcome that and still,
You should be 3-9 with those
yes,
stats, man.
it's
It's crazy.
ridiculous, and it never corrected. You're blowing Missouri out, and Rodriguez fumbles at the goal line, and it changed the whole game, and you end up winning by 7. It's just been stuff like that all year. At South Carolina, 4 or 5 turnovers, you win 16-10, but everybody was fumbling. Josh Ali, Chris Rodriguez, the tight end, everybody. So Iowa is opportunistic. There, a lot of fumbles, fumble recoveries, a lot of picks. Hang on to the ball because we're terrible with turnovers. They're great at takeaways. As long as you play clean and you hear this about old school coaches back in the old days. We know what happened at Penn State. We get all the whole horrible scandal, but you remember the old days. Well, you don't ever want to give Joe Paterno 3 weeks to prepare for you. Whenever it was bowl season, you always heard that. You give Joe Pa a month to get ready for you. I feel that way about Liam Cohen. I know this is his first year as a coordinator, but you give him 3 weeks to get ready for this Iowa offense. They steadily gained momentum throughout the year. They started clicking, in October, November, like you'd expect. First year coordinator, first year starting quarterback to do. And they got it rolling. Mississippi State game was awful, but you saw what they did against Louisville. Saw what they did against Tennessee, even though they couldn't stop Tennessee and lost that game. So you get back to warm weather because that's always more fun for an offense. So you're down there in Florida, get 3 weeks off, get a little bit healthy, play against the Iowa team who has no offense to speak of at all. Anemic word.
There's a 2-hour outside zone clinic that Brian Ferentz put on. It's on YouTube. It's hilarious because you watch the clinic and you're like, oh, okay. And you're like taking notes, and then you go watch them play and you're like, oh, why did I take notes? In case before it goes off the screen, John talked about Dave Aranda, said he likes being a place where he can comfortably and openly talk about his faith. He's extremely religious, almost became a priest. That's a really cool story about Dave Aranda. That makes a lot of sense. Baylor's a perfect fit for him then.
I didn't know that. I saw a priest in the chat. I thought he was meant to mistitle telling you to preach when you were talking. I thought he was saying preach, Corey, but okay.
No. Iowa fans hate Brian Ferentz. Yeah, just my co-host Josh Cook. If you ever want to know how much somebody hates Brian Ferentz, he jokingly puts Brian Ferentz up for every coaching opening that's out there. But yeah, Iowa fans cannot stand Brian Ferentz, and ultimately they're starting to detest Kirk Ferentz too.
Now, and I've heard, because my co-host on my Cats Talk Wednesday podcast, Terry Brown, just got married and moved to Iowa. So he was up there amongst all the corn. And the word is to everybody that Ferentz
would
really
people
like to, yeah, Ferentz would really like to give the the job to Brian, but he can't do it with the offense being like this, and he's sticking around till they try to get an offense and then pass it to him. Which, if that
It's not.
happens, they would
It's
be
not. It's
livid.
not. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
Not gonna happen. They're not gonna find an offense because he will not get in this century, and that's frustrating because Iowa could be so good. They're just not.
I mean, tight ends grew up. I mean, we talk about the talent in LSU and Louisiana. If you're born a tight end in Iowa, I mean, they produce tons of
They
tight
produce
ends.
tight ends and O linemen
Yeah. So
and D
that's
linemen.
right. So you got, get you a couple skill guys, and you got your anchor already. You got your tight end situation all set. But
And they went to Georgia to get their running back, so they're good. They're good. Just have an offense that helps your quarterback. You have a great thrower in Spencer Petras, and you can't throw it. So that game's going to be, I think that's going to be a wash there. The Outback Bowl features Penn State versus Arkansas. I love Arkansas in this matchup. Arkansas is going to be way too physical for Penn State, and KJ Jefferson I think is going to have a tremendous game there. So I like Arkansas there. Miami in the Tony the Tiger Bowl in El Paso. Like, is El Paso synonymous? John, since you're the guy with all the stories, is Tony the Tiger is Frosted Flakes synonymous with El Paso, Texas?
Why not?
I think this used to be the Sun Bowl.
That like General Mills and all that from Grand Rapids, all those cereal companies.
I have no idea. Maybe John will tell us in the
Kellogg's
chat.
or General Mills or something is like Grand Rapids or somewhere in Michigan. I don't know.
Anyway, trying to figure out why they're the Tony the Tiger Bowl is probably a bigger story than the actual game. Washington State versus Miami. Yikes! I like Washington State. I think they're playing really well, and I think they made the right choice with Dickert as their head coach. But yeesh. The Arizona Bowl, another yeesh. Central Michigan versus Boise State. Tax Slayer Bowl. Here's one that we can talk about. Wake Forest versus Texas A&M. This will probably be a high scoring affair, right?
Yeah. But eventually, I think Jimbo will get a couple more stops than Wake at some point, and they'll kind of pull away. You'd hope.
Wake plays defense the way Iowa plays offense.
Right. Yeah. Allergic to it.
Yeah. Stacy, Bill O'Brien, I think, had a come to Jesus talk with Nick Saban, and it seemed like he was more in the flow on Saturday than he's ever been. Anytime I've ever watched a Bama game with him,
because Stacy was dogging old Bill, and he put a plan together.
He did, and
a non-robotic plan.
He has those every once in a while, I guess. Mediocre bad bowl games are jacking up your cable bills. Yes, they are. Got to run, fellas. Have a good one. All right, thanks, Stacy.
Yes, sir.
All right, y'all got to pick up the slack in the chat. Wisconsin versus Arizona State in the Las Vegas Bowl. My man Matthew Perkins. They're playing Arizona State. That's just a swoot matchup. Here's one that I like.
Herm Edwards.
Yeah. Here's one that I thought would have been really fun. It could have been really fun. But now it's Purdue versus Tennessee. I think that one's still going to be fun.
Yeah.
Music City Bowl. I just think style of play. I think it'll be exciting. And if I get invited, I might just actually go to it. North Carolina versus South Carolina in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Do we like that one?
They played opening day a year or two ago, right?
Yeah, they did.
And so it was a couple rematch of that. North Carolina, disappointing season. They were really hyped. It doesn't really. Does it have any juice to you? It doesn't have a whole lot of juice to me.
Not a ton of juice. I think watching Sam Howell's exciting and seeing if South Carolina can finish off their for them miraculous season, but I don't know. Not really. Not much juice. The Alamo Bowl features Oklahoma versus Oregon. I think Oklahoma's going to roll in that one. The Cheez-It Disappointment Bowl, Clemson versus Iowa State.
Yeah.
I have no idea how to pick that one. None whatsoever.
Matt Campbell was one of those coaches we were talking about a year ago, and things change.
Exactly. Let's see. Any other interesting ones? I'm not going to read them. I'm not going to read them all out to you from here. Let's see. I'm missing Vandy's bowl game though. I'm not sure what bowl game did they make. God, this list just keeps going.
Didn't they add another one? Didn't they make it 42 now? Is Vandy not in that new bowl they just added? No? Like, okay.
Yeah.
So just 90-some% of the SEC, not 100%. Okay.
Man, what the hell?
90.
MTSU is playing in the Coolest Bowl versus Toledo. That's the Bahamas Bowl.
It's always fun down there.
Your boys at Western Kentucky are playing in the Boca Raton Bowl against Appy State.
That's
BYU versus. This is a terrible matchup. BYU versus UAB. BYU's going to wipe the floor. I love this Utah State Oregon State Bowl matchup. Utah State it might kill them.
Hey, they shocked y'all against the Aztecs the other day. They put it
God,
on San
did
Diego
they?
State.
My God, did they? Speaking of San Diego State, they get matched up with 12-1 UTSA. That's the Roadrunners. Meep. Missouri. How about this one? Okay, this is a relevant. These next two are relevant bowl games for our show. Missouri playing Army in the Armed Forces Bowl, and Florida playing Central Florida in the Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl.
Exactly where you had the Gators at the start of the season,
right?
Exactly where you had Dan Mullen.
The Bad Boy where you see the same Bad Boy Mowers commercial about 75 times. Yeah.
Little brother's gonna beat the Gators too, man. You know they can't wait. Talk about who wants to be there and who doesn't. They can't wait to beat Florida in this bowl game.
Florida's like, yeah, screw this.
Yeah.
How much does Vegas suck if you're not 21? I don't know. I've never been when I wasn't 21. John, Bad Boy Mowers. Duke's Mayo is like big time brand.
Oh yeah, it's Duke's.
They're big brand.
Kraft, it's JFG. Duke's is a big dog, man.
The San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl is a very odd sponsor. The Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl. There's the Independence Bowl is like some random bar in Shreveport. Benchwarmers, I think.
Poinsettia Bowl is older than you and I. That thing's been out there every year for I don't know how long. BYU and like Detmer was playing that thing in the 80s.
I remember like starting off the bowl season like on December 30th watching that game.
Yeah.
Now we're starting the bowl games next week, man. It's crazy.
And dudes will be hopping in this portal. You have teams that will barely have full rosters. It's gonna be you got guys who are gonna opt out.
There's teams that are going to barely have enough to compete.
Exactly.
Like Oklahoma might like with transfer portal people and opt outs and things. I mean, Oklahoma's going to struggle.
Had to patch up a squad, literally.
Literally. Well, Vinny, I think that's going to do it. I think we're going to have a good stopping point right there. Unfortunately, Israel was not able to sneak away from kissing babies and shaking hands in his charity event to join us tonight, but that's okay. But a quick programming note: we are going to be on Christmas break. Starting next week, we're going to go on a little, I don't want to call it a hiatus because that sounds a little harsh and a little bit long, but we're going to come back right before the major bowls, right before the playoff games and give you a good sponsor or not give you a good, not sponsor, but give you a good preview of what's to come with the college football playoff on New Year's Eve. So we'll be at you right there. Early signing period comes up next week, but we'll chat a little bit more about that and who won early signing period and all that stuff and recruits things when we come back from Christmas. And so we'll be back at you then. Hope you don't miss us too much, but I think that's a couple of weeks, and then the week after Christmas, which I think Christmas is on a Saturday, so 27th we'll be back at you, ready to rock and roll as usual, and then we'll get into my man Vinny's wheelhouse, which is basketball, because he's a Kentucky fan. So we just assume that all Kentucky fans' wheelhouse is basketball.
It's kind of what we're known for. We're becoming a football state to everybody now since they put together a few solid seasons, but everybody bleeds blue. We love football too, but
appreciate you, John.
Y'all know that. Yeah,
absolutely. So we got to get Tony on here. We got to get Tony on here when it's basketball time. And Tony Delk.
Still with him? See, man. We'll see. I don't know.
Is he still?
Not right now. I know they were still talking with him. I don't know if he's going to renew or not. Because we did a full year a few months ago. And I know he had some other I think it was broadcasting, some other stuff he was looking into. So I don't know if we got TD with Believe in Kentucky right now. I've just been flying solo or getting guests here at the moment. I did solo last night.
Let's just get it for one episode. And he's got to wear his denim jersey. How about that?
That's it. The 96. Yes.
The 96 denim jersey. Was that Patino's first? How long had Patino been there at that point?
Patino got there in 89. So they won it in 96. That was his 7th year when they finally won it. Went to Final Four in 93. Lost to Michigan and the Fab Five, Chris Webber and all those guys. And it was just fun talking about all that with him because, he was at UK when I'm in high school. So I'm watching all those games and then getting his firsthand experience of it was pretty cool.
That's really cool. So, all right. Well, so that's the quick programming note there. Again, our social information is not scrolling, but Vinny has his in his title bar. I am at Coach Burton 36, at Believe in Dogs, Vinny at Vinny Hardy, at Believe in Kentucky. Again, at YSN_SEC to follow the network, at Believe Podcast to follow the Believe Podcast Network. And follow all the people that we are associated with. So we thank you for joining us, however you found us. I know this isn't the usual setup, but this has been fun here on the Restream. So for Vinny, I'm Corey. Until next time, have a Merry Christmas. We'll see you back here. Get ready for the new year, and we'll keep this thing rolling.
Absolutely.
Good night.
Appreciate y'all.